ऐसे कुछ स्टेट्स में, सब में नहीं है।
So 3 PGMP in a week. First of all, I have to say that it has to be some kind of a world record, Mr. Sami. So very well done. But the man of our hour, Abdur Rab, has cleared PGMP from Australia. I want to emphasize on this success journey because he's a person. I still remember the first conversation when we had, how we started. He set a goal, he defined the goal, and he moved towards it. I really loved it. Such a goal oriented, deadline oriented person, step by step, step by step, step by step. I have to say, because I know Mr. Abdur Rahim very, very well. And so both of them are almost the same. So, teacher and mentor was almost the same in this success journey. But then, of course, some challenges happened. We had to reschedule the exam a few days back, and then he came back, and the goal was to get it done before 11th March, when the new standards are releasing for PGMP, and that will be impacting the exam in the long term. So we wanted to make sure that since we are 100% prepared, nothing changes. So I would like to congratulate both of you the way you have done it, and even when the life hits you with a brick, you smiled it, you dusted off, and you kept moving forward. Very well done, brother. Very well done. Congratulations again. Mr. Abdurrahim, if you would like to take it.
Yeah, first of all, heartiest congratulations to Mr. Abdul Rab. As you said, how he remained focused throughout the journey. We started our first class on 30th of October, and then in 2.5 months, in mid of January, we were fully ready to give the exam. But he has some family issues that was surely top priority. Then he took 1 month break. Then we came back in February. We started again. So actually, our timeline was to get done in 3 months, and we were right on track. So it was a very good, successful journey. So, Mr. Abdullah, why don't you explain in your own words?
Yeah, thanks, Amir and Abdurrahim. First of all, I would like to thank you both for the support, motivation, and follow up you had been doing on how we were preparing for this exam. As Amir mentioned, yes, there was a goal to complete the PGMP within a stipulated time of around three months, less than 3 months. Uh, as I am currently doing my masters, and there I only had a break of these 3 months in between, which I could dedicate some time to. So I'm glad that it is done, and all thanks to you guys for supporting me and motivating me in this journey. To be honest, it was not easy. It was hard, quite complex than PMP, which I did 3 4 years back. But you guys made it easy, and I'm glad that we are here discussing the success story.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, let's talk about the exam day. One of the
Mhm.
most challenging thing in the exam, especially with the exam, is such a long questions, is management of the time. Like, how did you correlate it and manage the time accordingly? So, what were the steps you took? How did you manage? Did you take any break, or how did you move with the flow?
Yeah. Time management, Amir, to be honest, was never an issue.
Mm-hmm.
The Abdul Rahim and your call the day before, giving me important tips for the exam. Read the last line first, see what the question is about. I followed their strategy, read the last line first. There were questions which were just one line or two lines, and then there were questions which were half the page, with all non-relevant information at top and just one-liner question. So with that strategy, I was able to manage the time well for the questions, and we had done so many mocks and prep questions which prepared us for that scenario. I discussed it with Sami earlier that if time management would be an issue, but after giving simulator tests with the timer on, I completed those well within time, and the actual exam I was also able to complete it well before 3 hours, 2 hours 40 minutes or something. So I had ample amount of time left for revision and looking into the questions again.
Looking into the question again. Okay. Did you take any kind of break in the exam?
Yes, just 5 minutes, a quick washroom break, as it was quite early. I started, the center was quite far from my home, so sipping tea on the way and drinking lots of water made
Mm-hmm.
me take 5 minutes break in between,
Mm-hmm.
though I was not intending to.
Mm. Okay, you were not intended to take any break,
No,
but you thought,
no.
okay, let's take a
Uh,
break, let's
it, it, it,
relax.
it, it it was a kind of an urgent break,
Okay,
mandatory break, which I had to
okay.
take. But otherwise, if it was not that urgent, I would have continued in the one flow,
Mm-hmm. Okay,
as the
okay,
momentum was there and I wanted to continue it.
okay. So you were among those person who were actually ready to get the PGMP done within the minimum possible time.
Yeah.
So I want to ask from you, let's say you have to start from day one and
Mhm,
you want to get it done in the minimum possible time.
mhm.
Being done with the certification, what advice you would give to every single person, how they should operate, how they should work so that they can get it done in the minimum possible
Follow you guys blindly. That's it.
time?
One liner.
Thank you.
Uh, they should, that master sheet which you guys have prepared, that is absolutely amazing. Uh, it contains the whole course. That
Mm,
one two pager, in fact, one pager, the front one, the back one is with the flow charts and diagrams and all that. The front side of that master sheet is basically the whole course. Uh, the way to approach would be go domain by domain or chapter by chapter, go through the ECO words, go through the highlighted words, do the mocks. Uh, the journey which Abdur Rahim had planned for me, the roadmap on how to tackle different domains and how to go about it, and then there were overlapping between the domains and how to catch that, was absolutely perfect. I wouldn't change a bit in the way I prepared it, and I would like everyone to follow that same path.
mm. You would like everyone to follow the same path to get it done.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah.
now apart from that final day document, that is every single person is talking about that, that is changing the entire PGMP domain. How about the green background question which Mr. Sami has made specifically for the coaching calls? How relevant those were for the real exam?
Quite relevant, quite relevant. I wouldn't say that there were exact questions similar to
Mm-hmm,
those,
mm-hmm,
but if you have prepped those green background questions well, you
mm-hmm,
would have the understanding and you would have the understanding and the flow how to address the actual questions in exam. So I would highly recommend the final mocks and those green background questions to
mm-hmm.
be done at least 4 or 5 times before going to the final exam.
Okay, before going to the final exam. Okay, how was the follow-up system by Mr. Abdurrahim?
Oh, brilliant. At times it used to uh, irritate me, but but I know this wouldn't have been possible without that follow-up. My schedule during the last couple of months have been quite hectic and busy
Mm-hmm,
with work and family, so I was not able to dedicate as much time as I would have liked to.
mm-hmm,
But his follow-up kept me on track, and
mm-hmm,
yeah, he always, there was a plan that this week we have to do these 5 mocks,
mm-hmm,
on Monday you have to do this, on Tuesday. He always provide me that plan before,
mm-hmm,
without consulting. He made the plans and tell us to follow it.
mm-hmm.
So and then he follows it up that today your mock 2 should have been finished. What is the status now? And
Mm,
at times I wouldn't have even started that mock 2, and after his follow up, just to save myself from embarrassment and that embarrassing discussion, I used to do it, and at night 11 or 12 when I finish, and I just report it back to him. So the
mm,
follow up is really necessary.
mm,
50% of this certification is just because of that follow up.
mm. I really loved it. 50% of this certification is 50% of the certification is just because of this follow-up. So that's an important thing. So let's talk about the second most important thing, which Mr. Abdur Rahim is putting a lot of effort as I see on daily basis. How important these coaching calls are.
These are very good. The coaching call. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend any coaching call because of the time zone difference. All the coaching calls are being conducted at 3 or 4 in the morning, Australian time. So I couldn't attend anyone live, but I did watch the recordings of these coaching
Mhm,
calls.
mm,
Uh, these coaching calls are quite important if you need to clarify the concepts.
mm,
PGMP is not about cramming the questions, go with the answers
mm,
without anything. If there is business case
mm,
or charter in the option, just select it. You need to
mm,
follow a certain path sequence where you are
mm,
standing in the
mm,
project. If it is in
mm,
formulation, planning, delivery,
mm,
which phase it is, what is it asking.
mm,
So in the coaching call, there were certain questions which I did wrong because of certain philosophy and thinking,
mhm,
and there were other students who also did the same mistake on that same path. And when I listened to that recording, it made me clarify my way of thinking on how to approach the questions.
mhm,
So the coaching calls are very important in solving the problems. How to strategize yourself in going to the solution.
mhm,
uh, Again, in that, the most important thing is just visualize where you are standing in the project, and from take it from there. Two or
mm,
three answers would automatically be eliminated with that.
mhm, mhm,
So
mhm.
yeah, great
Yeah.
strategy.
Okay, Mr. Sami, if you can take it over.
Yes, and regarding the startup that we did to do chapter wise questions, and then because application is also a very extensive part of PGMP and portfolio application, and then we say that okay, we do domain number one, do chapter wise questions and write the application part. So at the end of 2 or 3 weeks, when the training classes are done, we are ready with our application. How helpful is that to follow this approach rather than going all in one go and writing application at the end of the course? How would you
Um,
recommend
uh,
this?
I would definitely say follow chapter wise, domain wise. It is not too much of a work, so it becomes unmanageable. If you will go through all the domains and then you will start writing the application, most of the things in 2 3 weeks back the domains would have been skipped by then, because as an overwhelming situation at the start. There is lots of information which you need to process, and at times you kind of think that everything is going above my head. So going to application domain wise, chapter wise is very important the way you are doing, uh, because it only gives you uh, some amount of information related to that domain only, and you write those 500 words and then it goes into revision and clarification. So
Mhm.
this is a better approach rather than writing going through the whole course and then starting the application.
Yes.
Okay, and then yes, very good. And then once we started with your application, it was approved, and then we started with the chapter-wise questions, then step-by-step mocks, and then we get to go to the final mocks. And then how does it help to consolidate all the things that we have done?
Hmm. It's a stepwise approach. First, once you are doing any chapter, you are focusing only on that domain.
Hmm,
You do maximum number of questions wrong because the concepts are not built up, and you don't have the vision at that time
hmm,
to map everything. So doing the mistakes there, those questions are okay, not that tough. And then comes the question at the end of the question, at the end of the chapter question. Those are quite lengthy, and uh, quite a few number of them I don't recall now, as it's been quite some time now.
hmm.
80 70 questions each chapter.
Yes.
So that builds up your stamina to do all these in one sitting.
Hmm,
Then the preliminary mocks are also following the same pattern, and the final mocks are very close to reality. So the way in which we designed that, we will start with the most unrelevant questions first, and then more
hmm, hmm.
relevant, and then the real questions. It's the right thing to go about it, I think so.
Okay, and about, if we talk about the real exam, about the division of the domains, because as per
Hmm.
the guideline, they said that around 45 to 50% is the life cycle. The others are separated on other four domains. How
Hmm.
actual are in the real exam? Which domains are most important, or what is the uh, overview of that chapter 7 life cycle domain?
Well, chapter 7 is quite important. I couldn't recall, as at that time this was the least important thing to note how much percentage of questions are coming from each domain. But yeah, in the exam, all the questions are interlinked, mixed. It's not. there is a question which is from life cycle, and that life cycle covers the whole project, so that also is from benefit domain, and then the same question is from stakeholders domain. So if you see that question from top view, it is covering two domains, and but it is from the life cycle, so I'm not sure how they are considering the percentage of this question in which section. But yeah, 44%, if it is the guidelines, then I would assume so that minimum 44% would be from life cycle. Yeah, nothing was there which was only from life cycle. It was all
Uh,
interlinked and mixed. So, and life cycle is overlapped with all the domains.
And the one most important thing that a lot of students spend the time on chapter number 8, which is program activities, to go
Hmm,
into the detail of things. And based on the feedback, we were able to develop that magic grid of 5 tables, which is just a
hmm.
summarized and, or like I would say, executive summary of the 37 activities, output and input. Is it enough for the exam, or we should spend 2 months only to study chapter 7 and chapter 8 explicitly in order to get that crux that we have developed?
That that is more than enough. More than enough. If you understand the logic of those 5 sheets, what is an input, how it is going to an output, what it is going to, where it is not going to, and you have highlighted different important keywords over there. The output of comms is there is no business case and no charter in the communication. Why? So there are reasoning behind it. So if someone gets that logic, you don't have to remember it. It automatically flows through you into if some questions around that come. But yeah, that information is more than enough. You shouldn't be spending any more time in that. I would recommend spend more time on that magic, on that overall summary sheet, that two big sheets. Spend more time on that because that is very very relevant. The keywords of you should remember the keywords from there, and because each question, as I remember, contained at least one keyword.
Right. So this is the first message that we got, when the intent of making this sheet was to understand the tone of PMI questions, how they are built,
Mhm,
and how
mhm.
to able to understand the question what he's trying you to ask. Because unless,
Yeah,
as I tell you in the beginning, when we do all the mocks on the PDF, the purpose is just to gain the understanding of how to read the question. And I
Hmm.
yeah,
think in that way, if you're able to find the keyword of that question, then it becomes directly, at least you can eliminate two options, and then you can directly go to the option.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about a little bit more about. Uh, Now, this is a very interesting question, and this is something that is amazing. Did you read the PGMP standards?
Not completely.
Okay.
The questions which I did wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and in the explanation there were the standard page number, reference number was given. Then I
Yeah, of
used to
course.
consult that. Yeah,
Yeah,
then I used
only
to
like
consult
you are
that
just using as a reference guide, but you don't
as a
have to
reference.
read
No,
it multiple times, as people say
no,
that.
it is
we
quite a complex book. No one can read it.
we had the feedback. Mr. Iftikhar said that PGMP exam, and I loved it. PGMP exam is testing your skills of the real project management. That's the purpose of it.
Yes.
It's not a
Yeah.
knowledge test that have you
Mm,
crammed it or not. So yeah.
exactly.
So I want to say that to everybody. When people say that you have to read books, and when you we discuss, I told you in any of our programs you don't have to read the books, and that is the reason how we worked into that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, brother, I would like to know that what are the things that we can improve. I know follow up, we are doing coaching calls, we are doing the last day material, last call, simulator, we try to cover every single place wherever we can do, but there's always
Mm.
something which we can get it done. Maybe now, maybe after 1 week, whenever you come back, I would love to know what else we could improve that can get that.
Uh, Uh, I would say, if possible, increase the number of calls. For example, I took one-on-one mentor
Mm-hmm,
program
mm-hmm,
because of the time I couldn't take.
mm-hmm,
Rather than going in 1.5 or 2 hours, that complete chapter, break it into two classes.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Uh, this in this way, your program will be have classes in between the weeks. Have it on Wednesday rather than only Saturday Sunday, because the information, I believe, for me and many others was too much to absorb in the start. And rather than giving 1 week to finish all these 5 tests, just
Mm-hmm.
give 1 day to finish one test and reduce the number of questions from 100 to 50. If like breaking down into work packages,
Mm-hmm.
break it down into work packages which is more manageable, easier to absorb, because
Mm-hmm.
at times there, when you see that you have to do all of these things till tomorrow, till next Wednesday, 4 or 5 days are wasted in everyday work
Mm-hmm.
and office works and family and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
the last couple of days you have to sit 10, 12 hours to finish everything, which
Mm-hmm.
at times it becomes really difficult to manage. So
Mm-hmm.
if you can divide the information into much more smaller work packages and
Mm-hmm.
have more regular catch-ups, then that would be easier to easy from the student's perspective, easier to absorb
Don't
and
don't you think
forward.
that will increase the length of certification? For example, if I remember, you were ready, I guess, in the month of February or January
uh,
last,
January,
Earlier January,
17
yeah.
January,
earlier
January,
January.
two and a
If
half
Yeah.
months.
I really like what you just said, but as to room of improvement, if we divided it further into small packages, and of course, every single person who joins the program, okay, who joins the program, he is a PGMP program
Hmm,
manager, and it
hmm,
is impossible for the program when they are joining that they don't have a busy schedule. It is
hmm.
practically very
Impossible.
like
Yeah.
it's not possible, right?
Hmm.
So if we divide it, okay, at one point, yeah, that is right. But at second point, the journey will become longer.
Yeah, I'm no, I'm saying keep the schedule same, but have, instead of 2 calls on weekends, have 3 or 4 calls too during the weekdays too. It will
Hmm.
increase your work, but it will keep the student on track.
Okay, we will
Right.
look into that.
So,
Thank you.
what I understood that we are talking about when we start the course,
Yeah, the
and
first
we
3 weeks, 4 weeks.
for such 3 weeks when we are starting writing the application and we are doing for the first time that chapter. So instead of having 2 hours class, we can have 1 hour
Yeah,
today, do the job, and after 2 days we can have these things. So
exactly.
in the beginning 3 weeks we can divide, instead of 6 classes we can cover the whole course maybe in 10 or 12 sessions,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then it is easy to grasp in the beginning, but later on how we are doing the catch up of the mocks and the green background questions
and
step
that's
by
fine.
step is that is fine. But
That's
in the
fine. Yeah, that's
beginning,
fine.
I understood that in the beginning,
Mm,
once we do chapter number 7 in one day, prepare all the master sheet, and then we are coming back after 5 days, instead of
mm.
we make for example program formulation surface today, do only that table.
Yep,
Next class we do program planning surface or program delivery phase subsequently, like
yep,
this.
yep, yep.
I
So
get good. Thanks.
smaller information to absorb would be
Yeah,
easier for students like me.
yeah.
I'm
No,
not
this is this
I'm
is
not brilliant.
Uh,
I don't have a brilliant mind
this
like Mr.
this is
Sami
a
or
very
yourself.
good
no, no, it's a
information.
very good feedback, and surely we will
Yeah, you
incorporate, we
see,
will implement this
you see
for sure.
the way we are coming, and I would like to share this thing with you, Mr. Sami and me. Now we are also writing, and we tomorrow the standard will be released on 11th, and we will be accommodating that, and probably our book will be the first one to be released with the updated standards, and we want to make sure that we get a 360 feedback, not just for the things that we are doing good, but to be very true, uh, we are among the top 5 PGMP trainers in the world right now. There is no
No
doubt
doubt.
into that, with 100% success record. Of course, you cannot have more than 100%, but for us, like it's August 35, 36 PGMPs, we will be making in the second part of this March the entire picture. Where, oh, by the way, after the call, do send me a picture. I will
Yeah.
make a
Okay.
thumbnail of it. We will be putting that how many PGMPs we have. But in last 1.5 years, especially when Mr. Sami joined my hand and started helping me, we have improved the system a lot better. So
Mm,
whatever further you can think,
yeah.
please do add. And one
Sure.
very important thing that I like to add here: each one teach one is the mantra. What I believe. You see,
Yep.
we have came here so far because we believe that every single person, when they give their feedback, it's better and it's have improved us. And I will tell you, I'm from Pakistan very well. When I started the training, like everybody else, we have PDF mocks. To be very true, back
Mm,
when COVID started, we had PDF mocks. And then one of my student, and interestingly, sir, Mr. Abdul does not know, I'm telling this for the first time. She told me that you can actually use Google form because her childrens were using in the school for the quiz. I had team members who immediately converted it, checked it. Then she gave another feedback, two, three. Uh, Among them were not that useful, but that one feedback, I immediately implemented the feedback also and collected the data from my students. Then there was a big challenge to make the simulator. We could use Udemy, but then Udemy had its challenges. But instead of that, we decided to go for our own platform. And then there was a time, now we put our videos on YouTube as a private videos. There was a time I made my own LMS system. Now that's a feedback I keep on getting. Why don't you put it on It is actually very cheap. It's actually very cheap to put on LMS. But we have been blessed with the student from 85 plus countries. Not all LMS work at every place, but YouTube is the only place, only thing which so far has been working. So whatever the things I specifically ask you, you are the, I guess, the first one in the PGMP I'm asking, because I know your profile very well. I know you, I know your background, and I know you are exotic person looking for better improvement and things like that. So further, whenever you feel that this can be improved, not only here, what wherever, please feel free to give the feedback, because let me put it straightforward. We may not be the best trainer as of now. We may be among the top five, but our goal is by 2025, and we will be the only word. When you say PGMP, they have to come as a project management services. They have to come to us to make sure if they want to become certified, that is the only way. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate, Mr. Rahim, that you always organize. It's like 11:30 with Mr. Rahim, and I guess he has a fasting tomorrow, sir. Tomorrow is the first.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, and I
Yes, sir.
really appreciate his dedication. Thank you very much, Abdurrab, for
Thank you.
for giving time on your weekend and joining
You're
us.
Yes.
so
And I